The best way to describe home ownership is that when it rains, it pours. Let's talk about it. Now, a few weeks ago during Thanksgiving holiday, my washing machine decided to go bust on me. Okay, we were doing a load of laundry on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, and we heard this loud propeller sound like an airplane, coming in. And lo and behold, it had broke the clutch gear that's inside the motor, and we couldn't do laundry. We couldn't spin the rotation of the drum. And of course, this thing breaks right the day before the Thanksgiving Day holiday, so I really couldn't call for service. So I figured, man, I'm going to have to fix this myself, okay? I'm going to have to take a look at it and see what's going on. And of course, I tip the thing over, I bring it out, unhook it, tip it over, and the gears are all broken in a bunch of pieces. And so I knew, okay, well, there's one problem a homeowner typically has. Something is going to break. And as I was down there unhooking the parts to see what was going on, I thought to myself, man, what is going to go next? What is going to happen next in my house that I'm going to have to pay for? And I've had some problems with my furnace lately. It's been making a weird noise, so that's one thing that's been on my mind. It's still running fine. Luckily, it's cold out. I want to hopefully have some heat. But then, of course, I was right in my hunch that something was going to go wrong. And literally 5 days later, my vehicle is starting to kind of make some loud noises as I'm driving it. And it was kind of veering off to the right. And I'm like, okay, do I need an alignment now on my vehicle? And lo and behold, it was an actual flat tire. I couldn't believe it. Now, the reason why I didn't know it was a flat was because we had a bunch of ice and snow. So it was kind of hard to determine if I was really having a problem with the tire. I thought it was just the road in general. It kind of is like you're driving on a dirt road when you're driving on the ice. But lo and behold, I did get home, and fortunately enough, I didn't destroy the rim or anything. There were no major dents in the rim, but it was a flat tire that I couldn't pump the tire up with my air compressor, and I had to, of course, change it out to a donut tire because I didn't want to pay for a tow truck. And so that was done in like 20 degrees, and my driveway was a sheet of ice when I was doing it, and it was in the dark. And then my lug nuts were stripped, so I could barely get the tire off. So that was kind of an annoying burden on changing a tire out, which, by the way, now I did get new lug nuts for my tires. And of course, my tires were 6 years old, right? So I had to get all new tires. They were probably in the yellow phase, but I was just like, you know what? It's winter. It's dangerous in these roads with all the ice. So I'm like, just give me a set of 4 new tires. So that was $1,000. And if you guys don't know, 60% of Americans in 2025 do not have a $1,000 emergency fund. 60%, guys. And this is the reason why I don't increase my lifestyle. I would love to afford maybe a BMW or a Tesla Model X or Y or whatever, or maybe nicer appliances, or I'd love to afford a new bathroom remodel. But the reason I don't upgrade my lifestyle and go into more debt is because I want to be part of the 40% where I have $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 in liquidity so that I can actually take care of these emergencies that happen. Because when it rains, it pours. This is the honest truth about home ownership that no realtor is going to tell you, no title company is going to tell you, no one on social media who talks about investing in real estate is going to tell you. They're not. They're never going to tell you that when it rains, it pours. And this last week, that's what happened to me. I had to shovel out $1,000 for my tires. And that doesn't even have to do with a house, but you got to have a car to get around, right? And so with the washer, I decided to fix it myself because I know that when it rains, it pours. I'm mechanically inclined enough to know, all right, if I take off these couple bolts, if I look at how it was constructed on the unit itself, I can fix it myself. And I've got all the resources in the world. I've got AI at my disposal to ask questions about. I've got YouTube videos. I've got Google. I've even got social media. You know, some people post on how they fix things on social media. So I've got all the information to figure it out. And of course, I use Google and YouTube when I was looking for, okay, what parts do I need to replace? And I found a brand new parts store off of a YouTube video. And the parts were like $250, $260 a piece. And I needed 2 parts for this washer. So that totaled like $500. And then if I were to hire someone, that'd be another $100, $150, $200. So now I'm out $700 just to fix a washing machine. When in reality, I probably could have just gone out and bought a brand new one. And that's what most consumers do, is they just go out and they buy a brand new washer or dryer or stove, whatever it is, for a broken part. And so I decided not to buy a brand new parts and replace it, and to look instead on eBay. Okay. And I found a ton of these parts on eBay for $40 for the rotor. I needed a rotor. It's the thing this magnetic piece that spins around. And then I needed this a gear coupler that was like $25 on eBay. Now these parts were used, but granted, my washer was used. It was 7, 8 years old. So what's the problem in actually replacing a used washer with used parts? You know, and if I get 2, 3, maybe 4 years out of these parts, I'm saving money. You know, I don't need to go out and spend $1,000 on a new washer, or go out and actually have this thing serviced for $500, $600. So these are the things you got to be aware of if you're going to be a homeowner. You want to be able to fix things yourself if you can do it. If you can do it safely as well. I don't recommend, messing with things if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not, educated or have experience, especially when it comes to electricity. You got to be careful about that. But this was a mechanical fix. So, the only inconvenience it was 1 week's worth of laundry we couldn't do. And I left this washer on the ground, kind of in the way of things. But eventually I got the parts in after a week. I fixed it up while I was changing my tires. The day I got my parts for my washer was the day I had to go and take my car to the tire shop and get 4 new tires. So, the irony in how when it rains, it pours is totally true when it comes to home ownership. I've even, I've had multiple experiences with this house alone in the last 4 years that I had problems in the basement where I had a furnace leak, a humidifier leaked, got the carpet all wet, got it all moldy. And then I had a sump pump leak. It was the pump just failed in the basement, and that was $1,000. And it caused a leak where it got my carpet wet on the other corner. And then I had a window well flood up past the window and almost crash into my house, and it was starting to leak in my house, and that got the carpet wet and moldy as well. So I had this trifecta of things that happened in my basement. So I had to replace the carpet. Now I did upgrade to a nice floor. That was pretty expensive. But in the process, I had to fix the window well. That was $14,000. And to deal with all the water that was coming off the roof into the window well, I had to fix my gutters and expand the gutters to commercial size 6-inch gutters. And now my water doesn't come into my window well, and I don't see as much rainwater from the gutters coming down. And so again, when it literally rains, it pours, okay? And so what I'm trying to emphasize in this video is that if you're going to be a homeowner, okay, or if you're going to be even a landlord, be aware of this and set some cash to the side. You can't live this lavish lifestyle if you're going to be a homeowner. You can't have the Tesla. You can't have the BMW because you got to save up money to have cash on the sidelines to replace everything that's going to break, because eventually something's going to break. I know that my furnaces, I've got 2 of them. One of them is going to break here very soon, and I know that's going to cost me $10,000, probably for a furnace. And then there's 2 air conditioners right here behind this wall. Those are going to need to be replaced, probably at the same time. So, I've gotten quoted on those furnaces. I know I'm going to have to replace them anytime here soon. And so I need to keep saving my money. Couple $100 here, couple $100 there. I can't have a car payment. I can't go out and buy a $300,000, $500,000 car payment. It's just not it's not in the cards for me, because I want to be a homeowner. I want to have a nice place for my children to sleep, for my wife to enjoy, for her to decorate. She's all into decorating all the Christmas trees and all that. But it's the big purchases that can get us in trouble, you know, whether it's a brand new truck or a new Tesla, or it's a remodel. And that's another thing too, guys. A lot of people get into these homes and they do this remodeling that they see on HGTV, where they go and they take out a wall because it's not open. And then guess what? When it rains, it pours. You find a problem behind the wall. Maybe it's a sewer pipe or a water pipe that's, you know, designed incorrectly, or you got to move it because you took out a wall, et cetera, et cetera. And I've done all this before. I've taken out walls. I took out a wall in this house, but it was a half wall. It was a very small, minor wall that I knew probably wouldn't add more problems to my household. But those are risks as well as remodels. I know that probably when I remodel my master bathroom, because my wife wants to do it someday, I know we're probably going to find some problems. I'm just anticipating it, right? So, you know, if you're going to do a remodel, have cash for it. Don't take out a home equity line of credit, because you're going to have to take out more money. Guaranteed, you're going to find problems typically in a house. And I know I'm going to find more problems. There's probably going to be mold somewhere. Who knows? Because it's water, right? You got a bathroom, you got water around. So there you go. Tack on another couple thousand for mold remediation or whatever it is. And, you know, you might want to move something around, maybe a pipe, plumbing, whatever. You got to save money for that. You got to just set aside more than what you think it's going to cost. If you think your bathroom is going to be $30,000, just add another 10%. Tack on $3,000, maybe 20%. Tack on $6,000 for a $30,000 reno. You might as well, because that's how houses are. Everything's expensive when it comes to home ownership and maintenance. So be aware of this. You know, if you're looking to buy a house, or maybe you're thinking about upgrading your house, give yourself that little bit of cushion you need when it comes to affordability. If you think that you can afford, you know, a $2,000 house payment, maybe bump it down to $1,800. Give yourself that $200 to set aside in your savings account to deal with when the rain comes. It's going to pour. That's what you got to do. So don't go house poor is all I'm saying. You know, I knew what I could afford with this house, with my income and my wife's income, and I'm able to set aside enough to have more than $1,000 in savings. I've got 10 times that, okay? Because I know that eventually that jar of savings is going to diminish when I have homeownership problems, when we have the tires to replace, when the washer goes out, when the dryer goes out, when the fridge has a leak, when you got to replace the floor. Not everything that breaks an insurance company is going to pay for. Sometimes you're going to have to get it out of pocket. So anyways, let me know what kind of problems you guys have had in your household. Have you seen one problem, then two, then three? They kind of come in series of three, I feel. And then when you fix those three things, maybe you wait a few years and then a new set of three problems occurs. But let me know in the comments below. And if you guys could, like and subscribe to the channel. Take a look at my previous video. And everyone have a good day. Later.